Everything's set up as, oh, hang on.
Kids being used. We'll need to next year then.
Oh, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you've all joined okay and can hear me. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes because we can see plenty of people still arriving, having finished their very busy day. So we'll just hang fire for a second, but just wanted to welcome you along and make sure everything is working okay. Whilst you're waiting, if you want to make use of the chat box to type in your name and the school or organisation you're from, it'd be great to hear from you to see a variety of what we've got here today. And also, if you've got any questions you have come on with, feel free to pop them in there and we'll make sure we answer them as we go through the session today. Thank you for those that type in, and just to reiterate, just going to hang on for another minute. Plenty of people still arriving, so we'll just give people one more moment, then we'll get started. Okay, we will make a start. Welcome along to the webinar about the PE Life Skills Award this afternoon. It's great to have so many people here. We had a huge amount of registrations. We're probably expecting around 40 to 50 people to attend the webinar. The session is being recorded, so if anybody does have to leave before the end or doesn't quite arrive in time, we'll make sure that recording gets sent out to all people that have registered, and you might want to share that with colleagues as well that you're working alongside. Really looking forward to sharing some information with you this afternoon about the PE Life Skills Award. Everyone's microphone is going to be placed on mute just so we don't have any background noise that interrupts us. But during the session, we would welcome lots of interaction and conversation. So there's a couple of options for this. We've got the chat box that most people seem to have found where they've been typing in their name and their school. Feel free to pop questions in there and we'll answer them either at the time or at an appropriate time later on in the session. Or secondly, there's a hand raise function as part of the webinar. If you want to contribute and unmute yourself to ask a question that way, it'd be great to hear from you so we can answer all of the questions that you've got today. So delighted to be joined by two colleagues for the session today. The PE Life Skills Award was launched in 2021 and it's a joint partnership between the Leadership Skills Foundation and Youth Sports Trust. So my name is Gareth Buckley and I'm the accreditation manager for the Leadership Skills Foundation, and I've been involved in this award for a number of years in terms of approving centres and schools to deliver the award, providing ongoing support, and also being the point of issuing certification for learners and pupils that have completed the award. So if you sign up to the award or are already involved, you'll hear from me at various stages throughout the year. And then from Youth Sports Trust, we have James and Jade. I'm going to ask James and Jade to introduce themselves and their roles, please. James.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Gaz. My name's James Walker. I'm a former secondary PE teacher of around 15 years, and now I am the development manager for secondary PE at the Youth Sport Trust. My specific role with regards to the PE Life Skills Award, having had that sort of school PE teaching experience, I tend to provide some of that supporting sort of element as Gaz has just described, but from a teacher's point of view as opposed to a sort of processy point of view. Jade.
Yep, hi everyone. So I'm Jade Malone. I am the primary PE development manager at the Youth Sport Trust, and I was a primary school teacher for 12 years, with 5 of those years being the PE lead and PE teacher from nursery to year 6. And as James said, we just help try to make PE Life Skills Award more accessible and manageable for all schools.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. This session is part of a series of discovery webinars that we're hosting throughout September and October. We've had a couple of sessions last week and this week already. I think this is the third one. You can see on screen here an example of some of the other sessions that are taking place over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you're interested in finding out more about those programs, there's a QR code on screen that you can scan that will take you to the event booking page, and you can sign up in the same way that you have done for today's session. And I'll bring that again at the end in case it's something that is of relevance to anybody as part of the session. So today's webinar, what we're going to be covering, 4 main areas we want to cover today. The first section, we're going to give you an overview of what the PE Life Skills Award is, a bit of background and the context as to where it's going to sit. We're going to give you an orientation of the resources to show you what's available to support your delivery and how you can utilise that at the various stages of the award. We'd love to share some good practice. So let's test out a function here. If you have delivered the PE Life Skills Award already, or a part of a school that are delivering it, could you raise your hand, please, on the menu bar? Let's see if this works. No hands raising. Okay. Either people haven't found the button, or we've got a lot of schools which are brand new, which is brilliant. We did have on the registration list a few schools that had delivered previously. So later on in the session, what would be great is if we can hear from those schools, so you can share some examples that would be really good for others to hear about as well. We'll finish the session with a series of next steps, how to get involved, how to sign up if you're interested, and answer any questions that you might have that's going to support your ongoing development. The PE Life Skills Award, as I said, has been running for 4 years now. We're into its 5th year. For this year already, we've got over 100 schools that are registered and signed up to deliver it. And you can see we've got a real good mixture between primary schools, secondary schools, and SEND settings. We've really found the award works well in all settings. It's really flexible. There's no one or right way of delivering it. And James and Jade will give you some more context on that shortly. Looking back at last year, so the 24-25 academic year, we had over 3,500 pupils gain the award across the schools that delivered it, with an average of 87 from the schools that claim certification. And numbers wise, massive range. We have some small settings where the lowest number was the 3 children that went through it, to schools that delivered to a whole year group with over 300 go through it. So whatever setting you're in, there'll be a way for the award to be delivered successfully in your setting. Some feedback we received from schools that delivered the award in the last year. I'll let you read some of those testimonials on there, but just to give you an idea and a flavour of where the award can work, the impact that it's having both on individuals, across year groups, or across the wider school and beyond. We're really seeing some of this. It's brilliant to receive that feedback from schools that have successfully implemented the award across the last 4 years. So, to give you more flavour about what the award is all about, I'm going to hand over to James, who's going to take you through some of that just now.
Thanks, Gaz. Yeah, so I'll just provide a sort of light touch overview of the background for you folks, and we'll dive into some of the more specifics as the sort of as the session progresses. But yeah, Gaz has already alluded to the PE Life Skills Award coming about in 2021. And that was actually accelerated due to the pandemic. There'd been a recognition between organisations prior to that that children and young people were leaving school sort of ill-equipped to cope with the demands thereafter. A recognition from both within schools who felt that they weren't necessarily educating children in the purest sense. Often, you know, we do feel like we are just a conveyor belt towards sort of exams and exam results factories, don't we? And likewise, the sort of data from the other side, whether it be employers or further education providers, was that they didn't necessarily think that children were equipped with those sort of softer skills, if you like, for want of a better word, to cope with the demands of a workforce. Next slide, please, Gaz. And so, in essence, the PE Life Skills Award is really about trying to harness our amazing subject in the form of PE, but also those wider PE and school sport experiences, to really try and tap into that urge, that imperative. I know that I certainly have to educate the whole child, and it's done in and through PE. It's PE as a subject is a sort of non-negotiable as part of the award, and it necessitates sort of harnessing and engineering opportunities for students to experience the life skills that are part of the award, but then also it provides us that opportunity to shine a light on those life skills so that young people are able to recognize that they have just shown excellent teamwork, or they have demonstrated resilience. You know, as so often we know that despite them having demonstrated these skills many times, it doesn't necessarily equate to children that they have done. And when it comes to things like talking about themselves in that sense and reflecting on their prior experiences, they often don't even recognize that they have experienced such skills and actually demonstrated them. So this is a real opportunity to for every young person, because PE is a universal subject, of course, to go through and recognize the value that has been had personally by them through their experiences. Next slide, Gaz, please. The benefits, as mentioned, are that rather than sort of teaching PE in its most traditional form and really sort of focusing on the physical domain, there is a real deliberate attempt to ensure that the other learning domains are accessed as well. And I know Jade will go into this in a little bit more detail, but also in terms of that sort of wider education agenda and wider educational pressures, if you like, you know, we recognize that the PE life skills approach shows real benefits against sort of other benchmarks, such as, for instance, the Ofsted requirements for things like behaviour and attitudes, and actually absolutely sort of the personal development strand in spades. So yeah, we think there's a real imperative to sort of approaching PE in this way and recognizing you know, a broader range of attributes in the children. Yeah, over to you, Jade, I think.
Great, thanks, James. So yeah, continuing what James was saying, really, the PE Life Skills Award is underpinned by physical literacy. And that in its newest sense is ensuring children and young people, all of us, understand our relationship with movement and physical activity and trying to build that positive relationship. So through the award, we want to provide children and young people with those positive movement experiences so that they develop a meaningful relationship with physical activity now and then continue on with that throughout their lives. The diagram here summarises the role of PE in relation to that physical literacy applied approach. So by embedding these life skills within your PE curriculum, you are able to give meaning to all your pupils, not just the ones who may be more physically capable. This award gives everyone a chance to shine by dedicating time to celebrate differences through showcasing skills and understanding across all 4 domains. So of course the physical, but also the emotional skills such as resilience, self-belief and honesty. The cognitive, they'll include skills based on concentration, curiosity and problem solving. And then of course the social And these skills would be focused on things like fairness, respect, and communication. So therefore, you're developing and engaging the whole child, not just the physical aspect of the child. Each stage of the PE Life Skills Award has a recognition framework that is broken down into the 4 domains, which allows you to focus on relevant skills for improvement. There are 8 skills for each domain, but if you choose to deliver the award, you don't need to teach all of them. You choose which ones suit the needs of your children and young people, or you could get them to choose areas that they want to develop themselves. So delivering PE with these leadership values has many benefits, as I'm sure you're aware, ranging from developing their confidence and competence across the 4 domains, equipping children and young people with knowledge and skills for life, as well as growing their awareness of the importance of an active lifestyle. And those are just to name a few. So next slide, please, Gaz. Thank you. So the second slide, here, when we talk about the 5 PELSA stages, they roughly do align with the different key stages, but they're not absolutely age locked. That's just because we know that all children and young people learn and develop at different rates. So while stage 1 is typically recommended for ages 4 to 7, so key stage 1, and stage 2 for ages 7 to 11, key stage 2, it is just a guide. So rather than focusing strictly on age or year group, we want you to think about the developmental stage of the young people that you're working with. It might even mean, for example, using different stage journals within the same class or group, and that's completely okay. This would maybe look like the task or the learning that they're doing might be similar as a whole, but then when it comes to recording their learning and what they've achieved, the activity that they complete in the booklet would be different, so therefore slightly more tailored to them. But it's trying to give that flexible approach, and we know that you know your pupils best, so it is designed to give you that flexibility to respond to their needs and not restrict you in your delivery or the children and young people that you work with. Next slide, please, Gaz. So I know from coming out of teaching that it's really beneficial to see the resources and be guided through them, so you can get a real feel for what they look like and how you might start to implement them. So I'm going to go through them, and as I'm talking, Gaz is going to try and navigate what I'm saying as I'm talking. So just to let you know, you've already got it, Gaz, great stuff. There are a set of general resources, and they are for any key stage, any stage. And in those general resources, there's the usual, the teacher handbook, you're used to those, and that will just have all the information you need about PE life skills all in one place, similar to what we're talking about today, those kind of things. There's also your progress through PE report. So this it's like a report card for the teacher to fill this in for each young person. You can add to it throughout the year and share that with them at the end of the year to celebrate their successes and what they've achieved through taking part in the award. It's not a necessity, you don't have to use those cards, but they're there to use if you want them. There's also your progress through PE. It's like a journey, so it's got each value and learning intention for the young people to visually see, and they can tick off as they go along which values they've been working on and achieved through taking part in the award. And there's also a progress tracker, and that's like a whole class tracking of each individual. So you write their names, and you can keep a track, or they can tick off as they go, just so you've got a brief idea of what's going on with each young person all in one place. But they're the general resources. They're things for you to explore and have a look at if you choose to take part in the award as well. To be added to that, we have also got some primary and secondary PowerPoints that will be coming, and they will also clearly identify and define each value. They'll have words or traits related to it, and also give you examples of what that value might look like in PE and what you wouldn't want it to look like, and also what it would look like in real life and what you wouldn't want it to necessarily look like. And we've got a slide to share that with you a bit more later on, and James will talk that through. But they're kind of the bank of general resources for everybody to access and that relate to all teachers. And then if we go into a little bit more detail now, so for each stage, so if we look at stage 1, so around ages 4 to 7, when you click on that, it brings up the recognition framework and then 3 different learning journals. So I'll talk you through the recognition framework. Firstly, is a great tool. It's to get you to start to think about what the expectation of the pupil is, what you might observe when you are delivering on a certain value, and what you might hear for each value in all 4 of the domains of all 4 of the domains. So as you can see, Gaz is showing the physical. This is broken down into 8 different values. The physical is slightly different because it mentions PE and physical activity and extracurricular, more of an environment approach. But within there, examples of what the teachers may observe, plus what you may hear. So that's really nice for you to just have a reference point to see if the children are able to access that value. Have you got, if you scroll down, Gaz, just to show one of the other ones. So the social domain has 8 values, all 8 are listed. And again, expectation of the pupil, so gratitude, pupils see the positives of experiences, that's what you're aiming for, what you might see and what you might hear based on those. So it breaks it all down and starts to give you an understanding of what you are looking for within the context as you're teaching and delivering. Thank you, Gaz. So they're just one of the resources, and they are broken down for each stage. So that was stage 1, but you will get them up to stage 5 as well. And then the learning journals. So the first one is what we are kind of referring to as the original, the learning journal, the full approach. Everything is in there that you need. It's got all the 4 domains and all 8 aspects, all 8 values within the domains for you to work through with your children and young people. So as you can see here, this is one of the physical elements. I can lead an active life, and then I take part regularly in PE lessons, and then you've got a space to fill in. Then another one, you can draw or write in this box, and all of the learning journals are actually editable as well. So the children or you yourself, if they're struggling, obviously at stage 1, it's quite a lot for them to do. You might type in something that they've told you that they're good at in PE, or what they like doing in their extra time. So they can be typed in, or they can be printed out, and the children, young people themselves can draw in them. And this will just take you through all 4 domains. There are activities for each skill, and you can pick and choose. So even though there's 8 values per each domain, you don't have to do all 8. We have said if you do 4 out of the 8, that will cover the Life Skills Award and give them enough knowledge and understanding to then be certificated towards the end. So that is the full the learning journal. It's got everything you need. As I say, it's for the children to fill out as much as they can, or for you to assist them with. And we've also tailored the stage 1 and stage 2 learning journals to be more child friendly. So hopefully the language in there and the activities that they're doing suit those age ranges a little bit more, after feedback from teachers that took part last year and the year before. So we are making changes as we go. Now, this one looks the same, and it is the stage 1 learning journal. However, this one is, it has the same number of pages. It has all of the 4 domains with all the 8 values in there, but it's print light version. So we've taken out the background colours basically to make it a bit more print friendly and hopefully a bit cheaper and doable for you to print out, because we understand budget costs and what have you in schools. So it's exactly the same, but that's the only difference. So it's not as colour heavy. And then the third journal, this one, if you can see the circle there, it's called the Pick Up and Go. So this one is a more slimmed down version. Rather than having all 4 domains, physical, cognitive, social, and all 8 values per domain, we have taken time, James and I, to narrow that down for you, because we know as teachers, getting your head around a new program, a new award like this, and then thinking which skills do I want my children and young people to focus on can be quite overwhelming. So we have done that for you with this journal. We've narrowed down the skills, and then they feed into each other. So at stage 1, they'll do a certain set of skills. Moving into stage 2, kind of using Bloom's taxonomy and that spiral approach, they will then start to they'll repeat some of the skills, but then build on them. And then it's the same from stage 2 to stage 3, stage 3 to stage 4. So it's meant to be easier for you as a teacher, but it's still covering what we see as the necessity and the basics of leadership skills for the children at that stage. Now, we can't get it perfect for every child, so we've tried to do a best fit approach, but if you don't like the idea of that, and you know you want your children and young people to be able to be more resilient, to have more fairness in what they do, and that isn't included in the Pick Up and Go, you then use the full learning journal to tailor the values you actually do want to focus on. We've done that same process for all of the stages. So stage 3, as Gaz is just showing there, you've got your full booklet with everything in for you to choose from. We've got the next booklet, which is the lighter print version, so less colour heavy. And then we've got the Pick Up and Go version, which will be the slimmed down version with the values already chosen for you to just pick up and go and hope that those values match the needs of your children and young people. I hope I explained that coherently, because when you've developed it, it makes sense, but I know that might have been a lot to take in. So I hope that was helpful. James, is there anything I didn't say that would probably benefit from being mentioned?
No, I don't think so, Jade. I think you did a really great job, as you say, trying to strike that balance between overwhelming, because there is, on the face of it, there seems like there's quite a lot to take in, but it does make sense. And as you mentioned, the Pick Up and Go options, we hope, provide like the life skills we've selected to go in there. They might not be quite as tailored as otherwise you would perhaps make it. However, from a convenience point of view, from a slimmer down booklet point of view, we think it provides a really great diet for most cohorts of children. So hopefully they will be a nice resource that you guys can lean into for a little bit more convenience. Is it worth going back, Gaz, to have a look at the PowerPoint that's been developed?
Yep. I'll just come to that in a second. The only thing I was going to add about the learning journals is to make it clear that they're not mandatory. They're not something that has to be completed in full, that there's a support aid. So if you think it's valuable for them to record something in that way, it might be you want to record it in other ways, and it might be a discussion. It might have been a piece of flip chart. It might have been photos. It doesn't have to be all written down in a book. It's just there as a reference tool, and it's certainly not having to be logged in terms of assessment. The progress through PE report form. So there's 2 versions of this, which are basically one's portrait and one's landscape. They do exactly the same role, and it allows you here to tick off which skills and which values they have identified and have achieved throughout your delivery of the award, and a nice way for you to give some feedback to learners that can hopefully help them to develop their skills going forward. And it might be something which goes home to parents as well, for parents to recognise the skills they're developing in schools as part of their PE curriculum. The other couple of things Jade referenced earlier was a tick list. So we know some children love ticking things off to say they've achieved certain areas. So this is kind of a little map to show that, and they can add to that as they're going along. And the final thing was the wall charts. They're available in different sizes. If you have a group which benefits from seeing things and maybe competing with others to make sure that they've got certain gaps, this could be something which is of use to you. But again, by no means is it compulsory. James, you wanted to go back onto the PowerPoint? Yeah, go back to that. Give me 1 second.
Thanks, Gaz. You do an excellent job, by the way, of navigating between various parts of your computer. Certainly much better than I'm able to do when having tried this. But Jade sort of alluded to it earlier, but many of these slight tweaks that we've made have come as a result of, since 2021, people who've gone through the process having the opportunity to feed into what potentially could have made it better. And so as a result, things like the journals being less printer heavy, for instance, with either less pages in the form of the pick up and go, or less ink to print, for instance, being some direct feedback that we've responded to. Likewise, having for those schools who have things like Google Classroom or whatever really built into their sort of infrastructures, the ability to type into these journals directly was another sort of snag that we were able to work out, and is now available to you. And likewise, I've not actually finished the PowerPoint yet, but we've created PowerPoint slides that we've broadly termed. Jade's already alluded to the PE Life Skills Award being by stage, not age, but we've broadly categorized them into primary and secondary. But what we've done is create a PowerPoint for each, one for primary and one for secondary, that has each of the life skills in, that are separated into the 3 learning domains, the social, the emotional, and the cognitive. And then we've produced a slide like this for each life skill. So hopefully, and again, the ask from teachers doing this life skill, doing this award, was that I like it, but at the start of a new topic, at the start of a new life skill, it would be really nice if there was a way to sort of introduce it. You could have these either printed out, put in the changing rooms, depending on what your sort of culture is. You might have TVs that are wheelable into the sports hall and able to get this on and get kids interacting with the definition of self-belief, or thinking about other words, thinking about pulling out self-belief, pulling examples out from the lessons, and really getting kids to generate concrete examples of what that is in a PE setting, and then outside of a PE setting. So hopefully this is another example of a resource that makes the delivery of this award slightly easier from a teacher's perspective. And this will be, I've blocked some time out in my diary to finish some slight formatting sort of tweaks on these PowerPoints, and I'm hoping to get these across to Gaz to make them available to people who've purchased the PE Life Skills Award by the end of the week. So fingers crossed. But again, a new change for this year's delivery is that these PowerPoint slides are available also. Thanks, Gaz.
Perfect. Thank you both. You've heard a lot of information from the 3 of us so far, so it's probably a chance to have a little pause and to answer any questions or reflections that people have got so far. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. If you've got a question you want to ask, please raise your hand and we can unmute you. We can hear from you, which is brilliant too. Or if you want to type anything into the question box, we'll answer them collectively as well. As part of this section as well, just to give people a chance to either type or think of a question, we'd love to hear from some existing deliverers. I know, looking at the list, we've certainly got at least 2 or 3 on there. So I know, Julie, we had a little chat via email about sharing some information from your experience. So whilst we're getting some questions, Julie, would you mind coming off mute and just giving it a little bit of your story, please?
Hi, Gareth. Yeah, sure, I can talk to you. I'm Julie. I'm the Deputy Head and Senko at the Beacon Prue, which is a primary age pupil referral unit. We're based in Redditch in Worcestershire. We've used P Life Skills for a few years now, and to be honest, it's just been an absolute perfect fit for us. The nature of our children, particularly coming with lots of social, emotional, mental health needs, and it's those sort of life skills within the PE Life Skills structure, really, which is, you know, what they're needing sort of to prioritise to work on to help build those skills to allow them to sort of function more fully in school and in life as a whole. So the PE Life Skills has really sort of provided us with a structure to help and support our pupils in developing those, and it's sort of really has brought it to life. So we typically plan and choose a life skill that we focus on for 2 weeks, and then we move on to a different life skill. And when we start with a new life skill, we introduce it to the children. We have been using, and I missed the beginning bit, sorry, but it looks like you're developing some nice resources to sort of, you know, enable the children to sort of understand what that life skill actually means. So we have up till now been using some of the My Personal Best resources which link with those life skills, which sort of show really nicely, you know, if you're showing that life skill, this is what we will hear you maybe saying, this is what we will see you maybe doing. And so we talk that through with the children. It's on display as soon as you walk through our front doors of the unit, you can see what the life skill is and what those key attributes are for that life skill. We have a display outside in our outside area where we display that life skill that we're working on, and it's in the classroom, so all the children across the unit know what skill it is that we're all practicing and looking for. And you know, so it's supported children really with that awareness, develops their awareness of what things they need to be practicing and working on. It supports them with the language of what those skills are, for them to know that. You know, I was in a classroom this week and I could, you know, sort of say to a child, you know, what's the P Life skill that you're working on, and they knew straight away it's resilience. And I was in another classroom and a child was doing a piece of writing, and the fact that it sort of permeates everything, it's PE Life Skills, but actually, you know, it's life. Child was doing a piece of writing, was struggling, and she managed to keep going, and you know, and the teacher was straight away was referencing that, continual reference to going, do you know what, you're just showing that PE Life skill that we've been working on, resilience. You know, you carried on even when you thought that piece of writing was tricky, so you've just shown that now here in this lesson. So I think it's, you know, I think it really works for us, but to make it work, it's kind of, you know, you do need that everyone on board and making it a sort of a priority and a focus for everyone, staff and children. And the children, you know, the learning journals, our children do, you know, contribute into those. So sort of at the end of the 2 weeks, they get a chance to sort of record in there how they feel they've done with that life skill, and the teaching staff will. They create sort of either, you know, dated photographs or, you know, written examples of things that were observed or work sort of thing. We collate that into their little evidence portfolio. And yeah, and the children, you know, it has status. Like I say, we've got a display board for it with those children that have earned their certificates on there. And, you know, so it's just, yeah, promoted throughout, but really supports, like I said, our sort of approach to mental health curricula. You know, it kind of really ties in with everything that we're working on with the children really nicely.
Julie, that's brilliant. So thank you so much for sharing that. Whilst you've been talking, there's been quite a few questions coming through, so we'll answer those now. But if anybody's got any questions specifically for Julie and to reflect on her experiences, we'd do that. We'd like to hear from you as well. So we'll go through questions. There's a question about costs, which you're going to come on to in just a second, Kim. Kate has asked about how much evidence do you need, specifically looking from a SEND school. So yeah, there's no set amount of evidence, Kate. As I said before, the learning journal isn't mandatory, doesn't have to be completed. It's there as a learning tool and a reference tool if you want to complete it. If you're seeing them meet the skills in other ways, you're observing them and you're talking about it, you could literally tick it off from what you observe. So don't feel that the learning journal becomes a barrier that has to be completed, particularly where written work isn't a priority for some students. Julia, didn't if you want to expand on that from a SEND school, actually, from how your pupils have found completing the booklet?
Yeah, we're not rigid on the children completing the booklet. I think the one thing as far as sort of recording evidence, which the children have really responded to, is, like I said, the teachers do record quite a bit of evidence. So we've sort of created a thing to show for each skill where we sort of add in evidence. It might be a photograph or, like I say, sort of a statement about something they were doing. And actually those sort of teacher records, the children really love to see, and to, when we sort of show, the evidence that's been collated, because it's all examples of, and kind of, oh, I remember when I did that, in gymnastics and was doing that, or I remember when I did that at playtime. And so they actually, to see all that evidence gathered in one place, for their own self-esteem and remembering the success they had, and when they showed those different skills, they've really responded and really enjoy actually sharing that sort of evidence that we keep. It's kind of for staff and for the children themselves to look at. So yeah, evidence wise, we set it up as being our evidence, but actually, like I say, I think that the children really value being sort of part of that process and sharing that.
Brilliant. Thank you again, Julie. Next question has come from Caitlin. Do you complete this award alongside a sport, e.g. you complete it alongside a unit of netball, or is there separate activities to complete for each domain? James, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sorry guys, because I saw thereafter you said that we'll answer this publicly and I'd already started typing a response, but yeah, great question. And the award's been designed so that it's hopefully agile enough to be overlaid onto your existing curriculum, Caitlin. So for instance, if you were delivering a scheme of work on netball, then depending on your approach, you might choose one or perhaps two life skills that are woven into that netball scheme of work. And I think as much as anything, it's just about making those words public alongside your other words of, understanding positions in netball and positional responsibilities, or performing, I don't know, a range of passes or whatever. And also it might be that you've got one of these life skill objectives built into your sort of learning aims as well, and perhaps you're using that PowerPoint slide to draw out examples from the pupils themselves from when they have demonstrated whatever the specific life skill is that you think may work for that. So I think there's an element of mapping in the first instance, hopefully not too onerous and arduous, because as I say, I think most of us could pick out most of these life skills from PE lessons and PE experiences. I think they are quite broad and agile, as I've already said, and hopefully would overlay and interweave into a sort of an existing curriculum and existing schemes of work without too much additional work. Just sort of reframing the lesson, recognizing the life skill, and really drawing out examples of that life skill so that pupils recognize when they're seeing it or when they're doing it.
Thanks, James.
Okay?
Yeah. Next question was from Adam about how long does each stage take to complete? How's a school that's interested in taking part but only with us for the last 14 weeks of the school year? So,
good question. I think again, firstly, 14 weeks is quick. I agree. Depending on your relationship with the school, Adam, I think I recognise your name, Adam. So I think you potentially from Active Fusion in Doncaster near me. So I imagine you've got a good relationship with the school, and I would be tempted, albeit a year apart, I would be tempted to maybe focus in on one domain of learning in that block of time. So for instance, you might have a focus on the social, and then it might be a 3-year endeavor whereby you eventually build up that award in and recognize them at the appropriate stage. Or if you were to do over 14 weeks the 12 life skills, approximately one per week with a little bit of slippage, it would be quite superficial learning, wouldn't it? It would most definitely be at those sort of lower discovery type phases, I think. But that's not to say it isn't doable. You know, if all of the pupils have, or if the pupils have sort of demonstrated and grown an understanding for what each of those 12 life skills across each of the domains is, then I don't see any reason why it's not feasible, albeit that is a tight turnaround to achieve the full award. Again, if I missed anything there, folks, I'm conscious I got a bit rambly at the end.
No, I think you're spot on, James. It's there's no set time frame, is there? There isn't a set amount of weeks that a stage will take. So it's, Adam, for your question, it's however you see it working. James has given you some ideas there, to maybe focus on one domain or try and do one a week. If you started one skill at the start of the week and did it throughout the whole week, if they were referring to it, as Julie said, in all of their lessons, then maybe it won't be as surface level as it sounds. But yeah, it's definitely how you can manage it and doing what, you know, picking the right skills and the right values that are best for the children and young people that you're with.
We had a question from Andrew about certification. So I'll come on to how certificates are obtained shortly, but to answer your second part of the question about how they could use those certificates for when they're leaving school and applying for colleges, etc. So I would say, yeah, using the same way as any other award qualification they're gaining, put it into their learning records, and more importantly, hopefully they're shouting about the skills they've got and they developed and they can utilize in their education and their career. So absolutely, we'd value them to utilize that as they're going forward. Just
on that, sorry, Kaz.
It's okay.
One of I think this is where the value of a real whole school, if not approach to this, but at least a whole school understanding that if this was your approach in PE, you know, a wider awareness, certainly in a secondary anyway, that when they might be starting to formulate things like personal statements, this is just gold dust. And actually, on that, a little golden nugget that a teacher from Manchester mentioned about sort of the PE Life Skills Award. He sort of said it was their exams sort of budget, their exams department that funded it year on year, because exactly that, what it did was feed into something wider, something beyond PE that was a really great representation for the school. And you know, the phrase he used really it made me laugh. So he was like, once they saw that we were putting X amount of students through this and they could sort of talk about these wider employability type skills, they couldn't write the check fast enough type thing. So I think it's worth considering that this has the potential to enhance PE and make it more relevant to more pupils in the PE lesson itself, but also beyond PE and into the sort of wider school ecosystem. I think this is really valuable, and as such, it could potentially take the burden of budgeting away from you and onto that whole school piece. Thanks, guys.
Adam's just followed up by saying, if I have pupils that are older but may benefit from a lower stage, is that doable? Same with younger people moving on to a higher stage. So I think yes is the answer, as we've said already. The stages are there to guide you, but they're by no means set in stone to be age related. So think of them as whatever is most applicable and relevant to the pupils you're working with. Please do continue to type questions. We'll come back to that at the end, but there's just a couple of other bits to run through before we do finish. There's been a couple of questions about costs and how to get hold of the license. So the PE Life Skills Award license is an annual license that runs across the academic year. So we're now showing to the 25-26 academic year, and you can see the costs on screen there for the different school settings that you might be within. It is for an unlimited amount of pupils in school, so it doesn't matter, as I said before, whether you're delivering to a small select cohort or to a whole year group or to a whole school. The license covers you for all of that. If you are interested in signing up, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can go to the hyperlink on the screen there. I appreciate that's quite a long link. To make it easier for you, there's a QR code. that you can scan, and it will take you straight to the page, which gives you the information about the award. There's some sample resources on there, and there's a sign-up form at the bottom. And we'll make sure we include that in the follow-up email as part of today's session as well. In terms of our role from the Leadership Skills Foundation, so the award is accredited by us. We've created it in partnership with Youth Sport Trust, and what our role and where I come into it is to support centres from each step of the journey. So that's at the outset in terms of applying and becoming a centre with us. There's a very simple approval process to go through to make sure that you've got the right resources and people in place to deliver the award. Now, if you're in a school, 99.9% of the time, you're going to be the appropriate people, so there's no particular issues. But what that does allow us to do at the outset is to identify where you've got any support needs, and it might be that James or Jay provide that specifically from a primary or a secondary setting. When you are approved to deliver PELST, you'll get a certificate. The one example on the top right here, which we know some schools love displaying on notice boards to show off what they're doing and make it more widely known across the school, and to help promote that. We provide the ongoing support, the access to the resources once you're signed up, so all of the things we showed you earlier in terms of the frameworks, the learning journals, the report forms, the PowerPoints, they're all provided at that point. And then when it gets to the end of your delivery, we ask you to complete a online completion form. It's through MS Forms. It will take you about 5 to 10 minutes to complete, and it allows us to get some rich feedback from you about what's working, what's not working, which allows us to look at developments. So some of the resource changes that Jade and James talked through earlier was based off the feedback we got last year. So we're really keen to find out what's working and what's not working, and we can share some really good practice with other schools as well. And at that point is when we provide you with certificate templates for the stage or stages you delivered. So you can then proudly present those to your pupils for doing so. When you purchase a license, it becomes part of an auto renew process, which you can opt out of. So if you were to purchase now, you'd have it for the full 25-26 academic year up until the end of July. We would then auto renew you in June, but you have until May to opt out, and we give you, I think, 2 or 3 email notifications throughout the year to remind you that if you want to opt out, you can do. So it's very transparent in terms of that, but that license would then roll over to the following year and so on, and that ongoing support and resource access will be provided. To find out more, obviously you can sign up and look at the resource, the sign up page, which got all the information on. If you wanted to contact one of us directly, you can email James and Jade at the Youth Sports Trust email address, which is the top one there, or myself at the Leadership Skills Foundation one. Generally, if it's about delivery, about embedding into curriculum, then James and Jade are the experts and we'll support you with that. If it's more about setting up and access to resources, any invoicing, certification questions, some more of the admin side of it, then please do come to me and the Leadership Skills Foundation and we'll support you with that. Just going to pause. We've got 5 minutes left and we certainly won't overrun, just to find out if there's any other questions, anything we haven't answered as part of today's session, or if there's anybody else listening in that has delivered or would like to share your experiences. It'd be good to hear from you as well. So just allow a few seconds for people to put any questions in, and whilst that's being thought of, just a reminder at the bottom of the screen there is the link to the other series of webinars that we've got taking place if you want to find out about our sports leadership, our environment leaders, STEM leaders, esports leaders programs, and so on. You're more than welcome to attend a session and ask questions and find out the information in that way. James, Jade, anything you wanted to add that we've missed off before we do a final wrap up?
Don't think so. Thank you. I hope it was helpful. Just to say, I guess our door is always open. So if something triggers later down the line, then please don't hesitate. Yeah, we're absolutely willing to sort of engage and try and answer questions in as sort of agile a way as possible. But yeah, I hope it's been helpful.
Yeah, and just echo that, and also maybe just add, obviously coming into the time where the curriculum and assessment review is coming up, and we know that, or we hope that the 4 domains will be mentioned, and that kind of life skills, holistic approach to delivering PE will hopefully be be relevant in there. So it's a great award to get ahead of the game a little bit as well, just to be at the forefront of where the curriculum is hopefully heading. So yeah, I hope it was useful, and do get in touch if you need anything.
Brilliant. Just want to say a huge thank you to James and Jade for supporting the delivery and answering all the questions. Thank you all for attending. We hope you found this useful and has spurred some interest. We will be following up with an email to give you some follow-up information, which will include access to a recording. So if you missed the start, for example, we know some people join a little bit later on, you can go back and look at that, and you can share with colleagues. And just to echo, please do get in touch if you've got any questions. We're here to support you. But just want to say a huge thank you for being here today, and I hope it all goes well for you. Thank you very much.
I think Jackie has just asked the question, so if she wants to stay.
Oh.
And Karen, if you want to stay and ask, and we can quickly chat through.
Jackie, is this a good format for SEN provision? Jay, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once you get your head around what it is you want to deliver, which life skills you want to focus on, which and how you're going to do it, it's absolutely a good format. I think, as we've mentioned, the learning journals don't have to be filled in. They are there to support if you want them. And those life skills for all children are obviously massive. And those with SEND might struggle more with certain aspects of resilience and maybe fairness and those kind of skills. So, and maybe self-belief. So I think the skills involved are absolutely relevant. And as we heard from Julie, tailoring your approach and making it yours and owning how you deliver it will make it absolutely relevant for your provision and the children in your care. So we see a lot of SEND provisions using it and really benefiting from approaching learning and PE in this way. So I would say absolutely. But if you do have more questions, we can help guide you with that and put you maybe in touch with people from SEND provisions that have used it too.
I was just going to add, I've gone back to this slide here to show the breakdown of the schools delivering this year. So we have actually got, a big proportion of SEND schools. And the other thing I really forgot to mention was we've got some case studies. So we've got a primary, a secondary, and an SEND case study, which are available on the website. And we'll put as a link to the follow-up email as well, so you can get a feeling of how people have embedded it within their school settings as well. Was there any other questions that I missed there, James?
Yeah, I think there's Karen as well. Is she still here?
Karen is still here, yeah. Is this suitable just for Key Stage 1?
We're only an infant school, so we'd only got the children for year 1 and 2. Would they be able to get through this in that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, Karen, so the Stage 1 learning journals are aimed for that from, for the whole of Key Stage 1 from ages like 4 to 7. Again, it's a kind of a framework of how of the life skills, and how you want to actually deliver it is up to you. So there isn't a set of activities related to that stage. But coming from teaching myself, as I said, I was a primary school PE teacher. It can be as simple as, right, in this PE lesson today, whatever, gymnastics or, doing fundamental movement skills, but we're going to focus on self-belief. You're going to keep going. You're going to think you can do this. You're not going to do any negative self-talk. That is as simple as it can be. And that focus of that session is that, rather than I can throw and catch a ball. And then celebrating those children for doing that skill. And then, as Julie was saying, mentioning that skill in the rest of your learning throughout the week. So, putting your hand up, that's having self-belief, even if you're not sure, and that kind of thing. It's as an infant school, you will tailor your wording and how you deliver it to suit the needs of those Key Stage 1 pupils. Yeah. And they would love it. And I think it's completely graspable. And as I said, I've also had a good go at tailoring the wording of the Key Stage 1 in particular, the learning journal, to make it a bit more child speak and a bit more aimed at the younger cohorts, just so it's something that they could maybe do a bit more independently, because I know it's hard, especially if you're looking at the booklets, trying to deliver it all to all 30 in your class. So I would say absolutely go for it. It's a great foundation for them moving into Key Stage 2 as well.
Yeah, all right, thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem at all. Do get in touch if you've got any more questions though.
Jackie, if you send an email to me on this bottom one here, I'll be able to provide you with a version of the PowerPoint, if that'll be of use to you.
That'd be great. Sorry, I didn't realise we could actually chat, so I was busy really
That's okay.
away. I'm so sorry.
No problems at all. Is there anything else you wanted to ask?
Yeah, we're just in the middle of a curriculum overhaul, really. We've just had a new deputy head appointed, and I would quite like to. We're still trying to manoeuvre our way through whether or not we're going to use. We use a format called Earwig, which is like an assessment platform, but you can bespoke it, so you can put your own kind of steps in there for the children to kind of reach. But we've got such a range of children. So I've got children who are 5, so we go from age 5 right up to 18, 19. We've got about 60 children, but they range from children at the age of 5 who can play a game of throwing and catching, like almost like a throwing and catching table tennis game over a bench. You're allowed a couple of ounces, catch the ball. So that type of game at the age of 5 or 6, and then children at the age of 18 who can't do that yet. So we've got that real range. So what I don't want to do is kind of like take it on board if not everyone can access it, but if it's a format that we can kind of use and adapt. But I would need to, like I said, I'd need to discuss it with our new deputy head who's in charge of the curriculum. But I think you're right, getting my head around actually how it runs. And what the format is would be key. I missed the first 25 minutes because I had to get home so my partner could go out to work. So I missed the first 30 minutes. But did I see before that you were going to send out a copy of the presentation?
Yes, a copy of the recording will get sent out, so you'll be able to watch back the bit that you missed at the start.
Perfect. Okay, that'll be great. And yeah, I'll have a look at those case studies, which will be great. And I'll drop an email to is it to you, Gareth?
Yeah, about the slides. If you send this bottom one here.
Yeah, just a simple. Yeah, it doesn't have to be exactly. Just a simple format would be great. Yeah. That'd be brilliant.
No problem.
And Jackie, go on, James. You're gonna.
Oh, sorry, Jade. No. Well, I was just going to say, the physical remains. Of course, it does, and there would be all of those, all of their respective levels. The children under your care, they would obviously have sort of physical, progressive learning aspirations and so on. But actually, some of these things woven in might be real levelers, might they, to just sort of bring success in a slightly different way through PE.
Absolutely, and
we can always all be resilient, can't we? Whether we are elite or not there yet at all. But
absolutely, I've only just come in. I'm only in my 3rd year of teaching in an SEN provision. I've come from a school where it was we had fixtures 5 nights a week. We've been on tours to South Africa. I've had kids who played for England, and now a child who can walk along a bench who couldn't do that 2 years ago is massive.
That's ace, isn't it? Yeah.
It was the slide that talked about the resilience, about putting your hand up in class, because that's a really big thing. I work in an autistic provision, and so that kind of it's massive, absolutely massive. So that's the bit that I was really interested in, the kind of the progressive bit and the self-belief, and because taking turns isn't an easy thing for autistic children. Being fair isn't very easy for autistic children, and these are all things that I'm learning as well.
Yeah,
sounds lovely. Good work. Sorry, I'll leave it to Jay.
Yeah, sorry, no, I just wanted to add, Jackie, I know you missed the start, so I don't know how much you did here, but don't worry about the physical. There are no set activities or challenges or anything that they need to be able to do physically, that's on you. And as you've just said, it's all about in the physical domain, it's more about motivation and actual competence, whereas all those other skills, gratitude, trust, communication, self-discipline, courage, all of those other skills are what we're supporting through this award. So I think from what you've said and where you want PE to go, this award sounds absolutely perfect for those children and young people that you've got.
Brilliant. Well, that sounds great. I'll drop an email to you, Gareth, and then you'll have my work one, and I can then set up a meeting and I'll go through it. Luckily, I'm in a good position because our new deputy head is an ex-PE teacher. So.
Oh, great! That's always helpful.
It's always really helpful. So, but it was great. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you.
No worries, Jackie. Good luck with it all.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye. I think that's all the questions answered now. If anybody else has got anything, we will answer them. I think not. I think we'll draw it to a close there. So thank you once again for attending. If you've got any further follow-ups, please do get in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you very much, everyone.